Good evening to all you beautiful patriots right across the world, right across our beloved United Kingdom. Whether you're new to this channel or whether it's your regular stopping post for a nice bit of chat in the evenings, good evening to you all. Welcome back. And we have waiting. He's chomping at the bit. He can barely wait to go. Boys and girls, let me tell you something. You wouldn't have wanted to have seen the state of the green room before we got going tonight.
It was messy. It was messy.
It was messy. But welcome back to you all. I can see you all piling in. 400 people already watching. Absolutely amazing, because tonight it is going to be, I believe, an absolute corker. You can always tell when it's going to be a corker because I've got my jacket on and Richard's had a shave. Well, we got one out of the two. So
it takes a long time. It takes a long time in a real man to grow a beard like this.
Richard, I'm in awe of that beard. If I grew a beard like that, I would look like an old age pensioner. Honestly, I really would.
Paul. You are an old age pensioner.
I know, that's what I mean, Rich. I don't want to look like one either. Good evening, everyone. Lovely to see you all back for our second live stream of the day. And we have got a massive topic this evening, which, of course, is Advance UK. Hands up, cards on the table. I am a member of Advance UK. I'm also on the College of Advance UK. Richard is also a member of Advance UK and has the ear of Ben Habib. So we are politically biased, it might be said. However, before we get into the show tonight, I want to welcome all of our friends from Reform that will be in amongst the chat tonight. I want to welcome you most sincerely. You are our friends. You are our brothers and sisters. And I class us all as essentially on the same side. We just have small varying differences in who we believe is best to lead us and best to lead our country. So you're more than welcome tonight. I want to see your thoughts and your views in the comments tonight. As long as you're respectful, we'll be respectful, and it may well be that I'll read your comments out if I see them. I think we're going to get a lot of comments this evening. So, Richard, a big topic tonight.
Yeah, absolutely massive. Whether Paul wears his pale blue jacket or his check jacket, it was a huge decision. I mean, no, it's a massive night. It's a massive topic. There's so much going on. I've just watched, I don't normally watch all of Dan Wootton, right? I'll kind of dive in and dive out. But I watched the whole of Dan Wootton tonight with Ben on it. I think Ben absolutely smashed it. And I think, there's been a lot of debate and discussion about Nick Standing in up there in Manchester. And I think the truth of the matter is that he had to stand, and somebody had to stand. We couldn't be in a situation where we have a by-election and Advance don't stand. So, it has to happen. And do you know what? I think Nick will do amazingly well in that by-election. And I'll tell you why. Because the rest of them, one of them's come from Greece, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
The Labour Party had to fly someone in from Greece. I'm being facetious. Obviously, she didn't fly in from Greece. But there's a Greek lady standing for the Labour Party.
By the way, nothing against Greek people, because I love Greek people.
No, hold on. My half sister's half Greek, so
exactly, yeah.
So let's put that one to bed. This isn't an anti-Greek thing. We're not going to be attacking people from the island of Lesbos or anything like that. Oh no, that's where the migrants come in from, isn't it? But we'll say cost. But the truth of the matter is that Nick is the only local lad. He's the only local skin in the game, and I think that's going to have a big impression. And he's very well known up there, and he's extremely popular because of his charity work and because of everything he did. We were just talking about before we came on the channel what he got his MBE for, and he's got to be, to me, I think he's a bit of a stalking horse, and he could come through the middle without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I think what I want to do tonight, Richard, is for the Reform supporters in the video, in the comments tonight and watching. I'm going to play devil's advocate here and there because I think that's only fair and balanced. We need to play devil's advocate and look at both sides of the coin and all sides of the potential story. Now, of course, the biggest the biggest accusation from Reform supporters and Reform voters, of course, is that the sudden what's the right word? Selection. Not that's not the word I'm looking for, is it? The sudden announcement that Nick would be standing up there at Galton and what is it? Sorry, what's the name again? Galton.
Is it Gaston?
No, Galton and Bent. Sorry, it's gone out of my head for the moment. I do know it.
And it doesn't matter. That place in Manchester where there's going to be a by-election, Paul. That's what we'll say. We'll just leave it like that.
Dalston,
do you know what?
Dalston, that's it.
Well, the good thing is there'll be someone in the comments that'll keep us right on that. Remember, we're both over 55 now, Paul, so we're allowed to have these little senior moments.
I've got a bloody excuse, you know.
Well, the fact that we both had a senior moment there, you know, it's excusable because we're both getting there. But
Dalston
no,
Denton, that's it.
That's it, Denton, yeah.
And I did remember that without looking in the chat. But on a more serious note, look, the bottom line is that their bone of contention is that Matt Goodwin is a good candidate. He's very well known. He's known nationally through his work on GB News, and a lot of what Matt says will resonate with a lot of people. And I accept that, and I get that. What I think my job tonight is to manage this stream as best I can, to put over my points of view, to listen to yours, and come to a fair conclusion. I want to read out let me just get it up, Richard. I saw a very, very disappointing tweet earlier on from one of our supporters. I've got to try and find it again. It bloody disappeared. But anyway, look, one or two advanced members have said, oh, you know, I'm disappointed with this because, you know, we need to get rid of this Labour government and Matt Goodwin stands the best chance. But with all due respect to everyone, they are missing some massive points here. And that's what we're here to discuss tonight. And hopefully we can help them decide whether that was the right or the wrong decision. Your initial views, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the difference between tactics and strategy. What this is a strategic move by Ben. The reality of the situation is, it doesn't matter whether Reform win this by-election or not.
Yeah.
What matters is that we get rid of this vile Labour government in 2029. And let me explain this from my point of view, my thinking on this. And I'm you know, if you think I'm wrong on this, guys, in the comments, let me know. Paul, let me know as well. But my thinking on it is this: if we're standing a candidate, and very strong candidate, if he wins or even prevents Reform from winning, okay, what that's going to do, it's going to send shockwaves not just through Reform, and it will send shockwaves through Reform if the fact that we've stood a very strong candidate prevents Reform from winning this by-election, then automatically it puts Nigel. Now, obviously, in the short term, the short tactical side of things, it will look really bad because everyone will go, "Oh, look, Advance UK." And this is where if anybody that doesn't like me will just clip this little bit and send it to Ben, right? But if Advance UK do this, they split the vote, and if they lose the election, Advance UK are going to be demonised by the by Reform. Okay, we know all that. That's a given, right? And that's not important. The important thing is that we stand a candidate that has a good show, gets a few thousand votes, however many it is. I mean, I think when I was watching Ben on Dan Wootton tonight, I think they were saying you can win this seat with well under 25% of the vote because the vote's going to be so fragmented. You've got George Galloway, very popular, charismatic candidate on the left. You know, I despise his politics, but you've got to say it about Gorgeous George. He's got that X factor. Nick's the same. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, Paul, if I can.
No, go for it, Richard. Go for it.
You know, to me, what we need up north, you need real men standing, right? And Matt Goodwin was standing there in front of Nigel, up in Manchester, with a pair of gloves on, rubbing his hands together like that. Now, just for he was doing an interview that lasted about 5 minutes long. You don't need to wear a pair of gloves. If you're pretending you're from the north, don't wear gloves when you go up north. We know you're a softy southerner, Matt, but, you know, anyway, that's my little dig at Matt. I think Paul was worried what I was going to say there. But when it comes to this strategically, the vote's going to be fragmented. Anyone
Yeah.
can win this. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be a gambler's election because anybody that puts their hat in the ring could come out on top, depending on what mud they sling at each other. There's going to be mud slinging. It's going to get dirty. It's going to get messy. We know all that. So strategically, it's a very wise move standing a strong candidate, because let's just say that Nick wins it. I mean, that's what he's doing. That's what he's standing for. He's standing there to win it. If Nick wins it, it's only 2 months since we officially became a political party.
Yeah, it would be groundbreaking, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we've got 40,000 plus members. And like Ben said in the interview earlier on, we haven't lost any members as a result of Nick standing, because our members are actually quite intelligent, strategic thinking people. A lot of them left Reform for a reason. They didn't leave Reform so that we wouldn't stand any candidates against Reform. I mean, come on, So no matter what happens, there's no long-term loss in this. There could be a bit of short-term pain if we're perceived to have cost Reform the by-election, but the by-election isn't Reform's. They're just one party out of however many other parties are going to stand, and it's the electorate's candidate that will win, not our party candidates. It's who the electorate decide to back. So I think that, let's bury that and say, guys, you've got to see the strategic picture here. We've got to start standing candidates everywhere. We've got to put massive pressure on Reform so that Reform either completely tear themselves apart, because people on the right will be tacking towards us, people on the left will be tacking towards Nigel, and so it is a very good strategic move, and it would have been a little bit cowardly if we hadn't stood a candidate. Let's just put it that way. We're a political party. We should be standing candidates every time. Every time there's a by-election, we need to be in there battling away, boxing gloves on, scrapping for every inch of ground. So it's definitely the right decision.
This is not a God-given right for Reform to win this election. Now, I would say this, and one thing that I think you did get wrong there, Richard, and I agree with the rest of it, is that we have lost some members, and I tell you how I know, because I saw a gentleman earlier on that I was trying to find his post, but I can't get it up. It was a very long post, a very heartfelt post from an advanced member who had decided to leave because he felt that standing Nick Buckley against Matt Goodwin was a bad decision. And he wrote in his post that he joined Advance because of his respect for me and for you, and for Ben Habib, and it was very disappointing to read. And what I would say to that gentleman is, and I wish I could find the post, I was going to read it out. What I was going to say to that lovely gentleman who obviously is a viewer and someone that I'm going to respect immensely is, this is the point that I think you're missing, my friend, right? This is very important. This election coming up, this by-election, in all honesty, from a governmental viewpoint, means nothing. Labour have a major, Labour have a large majority now, and whatever the result up there in Manchester, they'll have a large majority once the new MP there is selected from whichever party that may be. Now, Advance have big ambitions. They are building from the bottom. They are building, I've said this before, they're building a skyscraper with the very best and deepest foundations. The first of those foundations will be unveiled this coming Saturday. That is our immigration policy. Where's Reform's immigration policy? Where is it? Can anyone tell us what it says, what it contains? Because as far as I'm aware, they haven't actually got one yet. Not a proper one.
I think that's it there.
Yeah, it's written on the back of a fag packet, right? And Reform are supposed to be the serious party here. Now, wait until you see our immigration policy that is going to be unveiled at the weekend. But Reform have no God-given right to win this election. And I will say this to everyone, especially to anyone that suddenly thought that Advance were doing the wrong thing by standing Nick Buckley in this election. Let me ask you a question. Who would you rather have in charge of our country, Ben Habib or Nigel Farage? Who would you rather have in the Houses of Parliament? Genuine, honest patriots who are politicians because they have a calling Or do you want career politicians because they don't want to lose their careers, the ones that they've had and failed in many times before? Now, the bottom line is, I think that most of you, even a lot of Reform voters watching this right now, may well say they prefer, if they had the choice, to have someone like Ben Habib as their Prime Minister. This is your best chance to show Reform that they're not the party that they told us they were. They've had their chance, and as far as I'm concerned, they blew it spectacularly on a number of occasions. Even if you're a Reform voter and you want to remain a Reform voter, here is a chance to teach them a lesson and say, no, what you're offering up is not acceptable. It is not good enough. We are going to vote for a genuine People's Party, a genuine Patriots Party with a leader who genuinely cares and is doing this, not because he wants to, but because he feels that he has to. So, and the result of this by-election, ultimately, if Reform win, means nothing, means absolutely nothing. If Advance UK were to win it, it sends an absolute political earthquake through the entire political system throughout the United Kingdom, and particularly within Reform UK. So I would say, even if you're a Reform supporter, here is your chance to firm up your belief in that we need genuine reform by voting for Advance. That's my view.
Paul, sorry, what was different about what you just said as to what I just said? It's exactly the same. We both said exactly the same thing, mate.
Yeah, exactly, Rich.
I don't know how we were disagreeing on that. We're absolutely on the same page.
The only thing that we disagreed with was when you said nobody has left Reform because of it. I know there is.
Sorry, nobody's left. Nobody's left Advance. Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, yes, yeah. And I would say to that gentleman, look, I mean, obviously, if we're a political party, it's kind of our job to stand everywhere, whenever we can. That's the whole point of having a political party. And no disrespect to the person that joined Advance, but that's what political parties are meant to do. If there's an election, you stand. If people don't like that, that's okay. Then maybe,
that's democracy.
That's the way. Yes, it's the way you've got to stand. It is democracy, and I think we're in a very strange situation in the UK at the minute. Things are very much on a knife edge, and things can go one way or the other. And obviously, we're hoping they go the way we want them to go, which is democratic, a completely new political start for the country, a brand new party doing amazing things. And I would just ask everybody, and I'm not going to get into a Reform bashing mode.
No, it's not about bashing Reform.
But who would you rather have representing you? Okay. Nick Buckby, Matt Goodwin. Now remember, Matt Goodwin, there's footage of him less than 10 years ago, maybe just over 10 years ago, viciously savaging Tommy for everything Tommy was saying. Now Matt's on the same page as Tommy. But the problem I've got with that is when someone changes their mind, they can change their mind again. Okay? We've been consistent in what we believe for many, many years, all of us, that have our political philosophy and our political ideology. My political ideology hasn't changed probably since the mid-90s. And Tommy's the same. Now, why am I mentioning Tommy? Because Tommy's a member of Advance UK. Tommy's base are massively, massively important. Now, some people say, well, Tommy endorsed Matt Goodwin. Yes, he did, because he didn't know that Advance were going to stand. And when he was interviewed in all these places that I've never heard of that I've got to try and remember. Braintree, I'm right? Braintree, isn't it? In Essex. Yeah. No disrespect to people in Braintree. I'd never heard of it until the weekend. But when Tommy was in Braintree, he very clearly said that he supports Advance UK wholeheartedly. And he supports Advance UK wholeheartedly because of David Rhodes and other people in the party that he knows and trusts. So, and he went on then to endorse Nick Buckby. He said how he thought Nick Buckby was a great guy. So there was a bit of doubt about that on Dan's show tonight, because Dan maybe hasn't seen that footage, but that's what was said at that event. So I think we've got to realise that standing a candidate is absolutely the right thing to do. And again, we've been on a show with Nick. He's a man of conviction. He knows what he wants, and he's very, very clear in his thinking. And again, he's very settled in his thinking. So, and the fact that he's from that area and he's done so much good work in that area, that's going to score him. I think there could be a real upset here, Paul. I really do. Do.
Nick is very well known and very well respected up there. David says Reform and Advance join together. David, before Nigel Farage spat his dummy out, we were all together. So, it's the same old story, isn't it? It's not us that rejected them. It's them that rejected us.
That lot. Yeah. Basically what they did was they got a lot of votes from the Tommy movement. They got a lot of votes from that lot, and then they spat in our face.
Let's go back, Richard. Let's go back. I know we've told the story again, but this is important for Reform supporters out there. This is very important because ultimately we all want the same thing. We want to win back our country, and we've only got one shot at this, and we need to get it right. So please bear with us and listen to the story. So, Richard, you're a better storyteller than me. You go for it.
I've had some practice. Basically what happened was I was very much against backing Reform at the for the last general election. Yeah. And again, I was very worried. Ironically enough, I was worried about splitting the vote. I don't care about splitting the vote now. I think it's an open playing field.
Well, that was a general election.
It was a general election, exactly. Yeah. And I was worried that Reform didn't have a proper game plan, that they would get I think I said they'd get 10 seats. They got 5. I know there's people talking about getting 100 seats and all sorts of crazy stuff, but I've watched politics long enough to know they were never going to get 100 seats. But I thought maybe it's get 10, but that would still, atomize the vote and ensured that we have the hellscape that we got now of having a large Labour majority. And what I would have preferred, and I think I said this very clearly on your show several times, Paul, I said, look, what we actually need is a hung parliament where the Conservatives have a very, very weak majority. Maybe Reform pick up 1 or 2 seats, and the Labour Party are weak, the Conservatives are weak, and probably the Northern Ireland parties hold the balance of power, because that suits me as a Northern Ireland person. So, the unionists hold the balance of power. That help protects the union. We've seen it on quite a few occasions in the past 20, 30 years. And that's worked. That's worked in the past for Northern Ireland. Not maybe worked too much for the rest of the UK. So that would have been my preferred option. And I would have preferred people not to have gone all in for Reform at the last general election. But you convinced me, Paul, and others, to say, okay, what the heck, let's do it on principle. We need to get rid of this disgustingly, and we've seen how corrupt the Tory. By the way, I've never voted for the Conservatives in my life, because I don't have to, because I'm in Northern Ireland. But I've never voted for them, and I never would. But we all decided to back Reform, including Tommy and you and all the big YouTubers. I think Tommy said it from a platform in June, I think he said it from a platform in June. He said it just before the election anyway. And we said, go for it, guys. And that was because people at the leadership level in Reform, as far as we were being told, and the people that were telling us this were very honourable, good people. I think Howard might have been involved, and other people, but I'm not going to name the other people because they're still in Reform. But with some really good people telling us, yeah, you do that, and then you guys will be welcome to join the party, and we'll all be a happy family, and we'll even if we don't win this election, we'll go on to victory.
We will be united.
We'll be united. It'll be uniting the kingdom. That's what we called our movement, Unite the Kingdom. Nigel Farage saw that crowd at the beginning of June in Parliament Square, and he got a bit aroused by it. He got a bit excited by it, right? And he went away and said, we want those people voting for us. And of course, his minions then came and did the dirty and said, yeah, you guys vote for Nigel. We'll talk to you guys after the election, but let's get the election out of the way and then we'll talk. Yeah.
And by the way, they came to me and Richard, right? So this is not third hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is not hearsay. They came to Richard and they came to me.
Yep.
Two, I might say, they came to us to get to Tommy.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely right, absolutely right. And of course, you know, well, we know what happened. Tommy endorsed reform, and he's done it. You know, he's done it on a number of occasions where he's. I mean, talk about a gracious guy. You know, I'll say one thing about Tommy. He is extremely gracious and extremely forgiving, and he's got a very high tolerance level for people giving him SH1T. Right? Yeah. He basically he takes a lot, and because he's looking at the bigger picture, he's looking at saving his country. So yeah, so we had all these undertakings and all these things were said in, you know, smoky rooms. You went and met people, Paul. Of course, we had conversations with other people on the phone and all that sort of stuff. And guess what? Straight after the election, Richard Tice goes and says to that little posh girl from GB News, can't even remember her name, Camilla something or other, turns around to Camilla and says, "I'll have nothing to do with that lot. Nothing to do with that lot." What Tommy supports? Yes, not, but they support, and she even challenged him, said that, but they believe the same things as you do. No, we have nothing to do with that lot.
Yeah.
Well done, Richard. You just gave birth to Advance.
100%.
You know,
100%. And
once that happened, Paul, we said we'd never support Reform again. We'd never vote for them again. You know, and I didn't. I mean, I don't get the chance to vote for them in Northern Ireland. That's the other thing. If you're in Northern Ireland, you're not going to get the chance to vote for Reform at the next general election, because what you have to do is vote for one of Reform's proxies. Whereas Advance UK, we are organising. I'm talking to people all the time. I'm doing stuff in the background, talking to people all the time to see what I can get set up in Northern Ireland. So, you know, the reality is that Reform, for me, they did the dirty on us, and it's as simple as that. That's exactly what happened, Paul. That's exactly what happened. And I didn't want to endorse them. I really didn't.
No, you didn't.
Really didn't.
And Richard,
I went against my own principles, and it's one of those things that you do, and you go, "Why the hell did I do that?" And you kind of regret it afterwards, you know. But yeah,
look, Richard, I'll tell the audience straight now. You know, I'll put my hands up. I'll always tell the audience when I got it wrong. Now, I had to talk you in. I had to talk you into this. Yeah. And you were telling me, Paul, they're going to stab you in the back. Paul, they're going to stab you in the back. And I said, Richard, we got to give them a chance. You know, this could be an opening for the movement, for Tommy, for Patriots. We took that risk. We took that chance, and it backfired on us. Now, I like to think that we're men of principles, right? Now, at the end of the day, and this is something that I loved about.
Sorry to cut across you, Paul, but the problem is, mate, I'd had it before. With UKIP,
I know you have with UKIP,
you know, and I know what he did, you know, with UKIP, and you know, it was extremely unpleasant what happened, you know. So
Richard,
anyway.
we were suckered, right? We were suckered big time.
Yeah.
You know, fool me once, but you're not going to fool me again.
Exactly.
Right? Now, the bottom line is this: I don't know if people picked this up with Ben earlier on, and I thought this was probably the most important and the most pertinent, and also in many respects the most revealing thing about Ben Habib earlier. I don't know if it was Dan, whether he read out a question or whether he asked Ben himself. What about if the general election was next week? If it was a general election, and Ben himself said, "Well, that might be different. We'd have to look at that when it's here." So Ben is fully aware of the situation. And I would implore everyone watching this tonight to listen to what we're saying. We are not here to try and stop Reform from winning necessarily. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to build our own party, right? Desperately trying to build our own party. We desperately want it to succeed. We believe it's the best answer and the best solution for the country and for the people of our country. We have to start somewhere, and we're going to start, and we're going to have a battle with Matt Goodwin, who's standing for Reform, but who was once in bed with Hope Not Hate.
Yeah.
The choice is yours.
Exactly.
True patriot Nick Buckley, a local man, an MBE, charitable work, etc., known immensely and respected immensely, stood against Andy Burnham for Mayor of Manchester. Or do you want the posh boy from the south going up to Manchester, being parachuted in because he's been on GB News? Now, look, I'm not having a go about him personally, right? At the end of the day, you know, his views today match my own in many instances. But at the end of the day, it's like Ben said again earlier on. Can you go on a political journey from, I wouldn't say far left, but pretty far to the left, right, to further to the way over to the right? Can you make a journey that wide? Can you really make a journey that way? Because I tell you now, my politics haven't changed since the day I was about 15 years of age. I've always been the same. Yes, I might flip from, from UKIP to Advance, but I've always been centre right of politics. I've never suddenly lurched way over to the left. People very, very, very rarely do that. So is Matt Goodwin the real deal, or is he just another political opportunist? That's the deal.
All I've got to say on Matt Goodwin, just lose the gloves, mate. Maybe he's even get some fingerless gloves, but lose the woolly gloves in this, Ever so humble,
This is nice. Alex is a new member. Thank you very much. So is Tony. So is Gary. And so is Visual UK. Thank you so much. There's a nice surprise. And Julie as well. Thank you very much, Julie. She's been a member for ages. Carl Brockwell. Thank you, Carl. The right is fractured. Nick, Ben and Rupert need to get their heads together. Reform will just kick the can down the road. Guys, we all need to get our bloody heads together. But the one man that's stopping it is Nigel Farage.
Absolutely. And, look, I think the other thing that we've got to realise is I was watching, before we came on here, Paul, I was watching Rupert Lowe talking
good work, by the way, good work.
Oh, incredible. Well, that wasn't what I was watching, actually. I was watching him before the select committee where he was grilling this DEI civil servant, and they call her woke Annabella or whatever her name was, right? And he was absolutely savaging the woman, and he did a fantastic job. Now, I've been critical of Rupert because of, obviously, I want to see him join together with Ben. I want to see that coming together happen, and I've been critical of him, but seeing him operate there in that committee, he was absolutely superb, Paul. He absolutely savaged this creature, and you could just tell she was so annoyed. And it was about, and it was real stuff. He was saying, why aren't we getting the numbers? Why aren't you giving the stats on how many immigrants are actually carrying out these attacks on women, on children, murders, the word that we can't use on YouTube. And he was really going at her, and he's really going at the head of the police, but not in a way that was bombastic or bullying. He was just asking very, very hard and intelligent questions on his own, standing on his own. And, so you've got to take your hat off to Rupert, and you've got to give Rupert some credit and say, well, look, we respect you. We want you to be in Advance UK, but I can understand in a way, because I had the same with I was talking to my local MP about why he's not involved in party politics anymore. And he said, look, he got burned that badly when he was in party politics. He much prefers being an independent. And you can understand that with Rupert as well. But I think when the time comes, there will have to be a coming together. Personally, Paul, I don't think Nigel will ever come round to our way of thinking. I think he's got too many Tories. Nigel always wanted to be the leader of the Tory party, and now he basically is. Okay, let's just get it right. Nigel has always been a Tory. But what the thing is, people have got to start seeing through him, and they've got to look at Ben, and look at the way Ben deals with. Have you ever seen the way Ben deals with hard questions? Nigel tries to be like Trump and gets very bombastic and very rude and very patronising to journalists. Every time I've seen Ben interviewed by a journalist or by a member of the public, there was a bit of an issue up in Manchester with someone, and he deals with them so graciously. But also he doesn't miss. He gets his point across so succinctly. Now, I've never seen anybody else in politics do that, because they either evade the question or they try and bully the questioner, right? But Ben actually answers the question, but answers it in a way that even if it's a really hard question, that the answer is given in such a gracious way, but also so succinctly that it just silences anyone that could try and throw anything at him. So again, I think there's a massive difference in quality between these two politicians, between Ben and Nigel. And I think Nigel will be found out before the election. So I think it's all to play for, Paul. And especially on this one. And again, let us know in the comments if anyone in the comments is actually in that constituency, because that's really important.
Yeah.
So if you're in that constituency that Nick
Gordon
Buckley's
and
going
Benton, yeah.
to be standing in, let us know, because we want to know how you're going to vote. You know, do you think what we're saying is right? So if you're in there, just let us know in the comments. But yeah, sorry, Paul, go on.
Interesting enough, I run the little poll currently, just short of 1,000 votes, and the question will be: the question is, who will you be voting for, Advance, Reform, or Other? 67% currently say they'll be voting for Advance, 29% say Reform, and 4% say Other. So it's a very,
Well, that would be a very nice poll result to have, Paul, wouldn't it?
It would be.
That would be absolutely cracking.
No,
I have a feeling our supporters might be a little bit biased, though.
They may be. I mean, absolutely, obviously. But what I do want to hear from, I want to hear from Reform supporters as well, because, like I said earlier on, you're our brothers and sisters, right? You're our friends.
Totally.
We all want the same thing.
Let's get this right, Paul. I have got at grassroots level. I've friends who are, I think they call them branch managers in Reform, that are in charge of whole areas geographical areas in Reform. They share our politics. We're kith and kin. And what we always say, and I think Ben would agree with this, it's country before party.
Yeah.
It's always the country first, Paul. And if Advance UK fell apart tomorrow, and we'd have to look for another plan. We'd have to look for something else. But
yeah. Well, this is the other thing that people say.
Yeah,
this is the other thing that. Sorry, Richard. This is the other thing that people say. Oh, we only need Advance if Reform fail. Well, if Reform fail, Advance haven't done their due diligence and done their groundwork and produced their policies and are ready to rock and roll, how could we be there if Reform? So that argument doesn't wash either. We have to build, we have to stand, we have to be strong, do what we believe is right for the people and for the country, and let Reform do what they want to do. I believe that their voters, as is proven, they are leaving in droves to join Advance UK. They have been now for a few months, and they will continue to do so. And I believe that the actions of the leadership and the appointments of the type of politician that they are recruiting will speak for itself. And we must be there as a pressure valve to ensure that we keep pressure up, we keep the pressure on, and we're nagging at their heels. And that is why I say, even if you're a Reform supporter, think about this. This is politics. You don't want to be voting for Reform. You want to be voting for Advance UK at this by-election.
There's a really important point in all of this, actually, which a lot of people are missing. And I hope Advance aren't missing it. And I want to say this, so if there's anyone from the headshed from Advance watching, I want to make this point very, very clearly. There is an untapped reservoir of voters in Northern Ireland and in England and in Scotland and in Wales. And what you need to do is find the key to those people. And those people are the disenfranchised working class. Most of them probably white. Okay? They are totally disgusted with what's happening in the country, totally disgusted with what's happening nationwide with politics. And if anyone can unpick that lock and get those people mobilised and start them voting, they will be in power for 10 years.
Yeah.
Whatever party manages to do that. Reform are not doing that. And what Advance have to do, and I've got, Ben sent me a text on this the other day. I asked him a specific question. He said, yes, we are a grassroots party. I was asking about, how we target grassroots people in different areas. And that we need to be in touch with the grassroots. The main man in this country at the moment that is in touch with the grassroots is Tommy Robinson. Northern Ireland's slightly different. We've got different dynamics in Northern Ireland, which are complicated. I'm not going to go into that on this tonight. But in England, you absolutely need Tommy's people on board. If you had every single one of that 1 million plus people that were marching in London last year as members of Advance UK, you would win the next general election just with your ground game. If you got a good ground game and even if you got 10% of those people, if you have 10% of a million as political activists on the ground, delivering leaflets, talking to the neighbours, talking in the pubs, talking in the churches, talking in the working man's clubs, talking at the rugby club, talking at the football, whatever hobby it is, talking as a swimming in the sea, you would start winning elections, because people think that you need the media to do this. The mainstream media are becoming less and less relevant, and the vast majority of people discount. Now, one of the things that does worry me, Paul, because of all the shenanigans with political parties, a lot of people are getting disengaged, and they're saying we're not going to vote anymore. And I would implore even that gentleman that left Advance to say, brother, it's not too late. Well, it's never too late. Come back. Just, you might, I'm sure you could repent of your leaving Advance and come back to the party. I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem. But, let's stick with this game plan that we've got with Advance, because if we get the numbers, we win. People say you'll never win. Well, actually, you can win. If we get 1 million people to join Advance, and this is where Tommy is vitally important. This is why I got so annoyed with some of the other podcasters and people that make a lot of money doing YouTube stuff that have really not engaged. And Dan, do you know what? Dan Wootton has been an absolute diamond on this, because Dan gives everybody a fair crack of the whip. Yeah. He's doing. I don't know. The good thing about Dan is I couldn't say whether he's going to vote for Reform, vote for Advance, or vote for whoever else, but he gives everyone a very, very, very fair crack at the whip. I noticed that tonight with the way him and Ben interacted. It was very respectful, but again, hard questions were asked, right? Yeah. So the point is, there's a lot to be played for, and I would suggest, and this is for anybody that's seeing this video, please do these 3 things. Register to vote, okay? That's the first and most important thing, because if you don't register, I remember arguing with a fella when we got the Brexit referendum, a guy I used to work with, and I said to him, he was sort of going, "Oh, you've wrecked, all you Brexiteers have wrecked the country. It's going to be a disaster. The economy's going to be collapsed. My wife's going to lose her job. Blah blah blah." I was like, "Okay, whatever." I says, "How did you vote?" He says, "I didn't vote." I says, "You didn't vote?" I says, "Well, mate, I'm not having this argument with someone that couldn't even be bothered to get off his fat arse and go and vote in the most important election in British history." So if we're not voting, if we're not registered to vote, I know that some people have reasons not to register and all the rest of it. Well, if you can register to vote, please go and do that right now. So that's the first thing. I don't know if you can put that link in the description below later on, Paul. If someone could put the link in the comments to the link so you can go and register to vote. The next thing is, join the political party that you want to support. And I'm not telling people to join Advance. I would, I've joined Advance, and I would suggest everybody does. But if you want to join Reform or whatever, join a political party. Then you've got some buy-in there, so you're actually involved in what's happening. It's amazing when you're a member of a political party, you get a camaraderie and you bond with people that have the same ideas. And I would also say sign the pledge, because you know what, Paul. I'm going to say something very bold here, but I think if it wasn't for the pledge, Advance wouldn't have a lot of the information and the mission statement that it actually has. And I think you know why. So sign the pledge, because to me the pledge is an insurance policy. If everything goes catastrophically wrong, then we'll still have the pledge, and we'll still be able to get in touch with people and say, right, okay. So it's all about having lots of insurance policies. In a way, Advance is an insurance policy, because we know that Reform's going to fail, right? If we didn't think Reform was going to fail, we wouldn't be slagging Reform off. We're not allowed to join because we're reprobates, that we're members of UKIP and we're members. And this is the other thing that people have got to think about here, right? We joined parties, UKIP. Well, I don't think you joined UKIP. UKIP and UKIP and For Britain, the For Britain party, which was Anne-Marie Waters' party. The policies that Anne-Marie was putting out when she was heading up that party are far more moderate than what the Conservative Party even have now. Remember, Paul? Nope, we weren't talking about deporting anybody. We were just talking about banning halal and a few other things. It was nothing. There was nothing really, really controversial. Farage put that on the forbidden list, so that if you'd been a member of the For Britain party, because Anne-Marie might have said some hurty words about Islam, boo-hoo, you weren't allowed to join.
Banned.
Yeah, you were banned. We were banned. We were banned from the Brexit Party, banned from Reform. We couldn't join if we wanted to, and we certainly couldn't stand.
So, some democracy. This is very important. Graham Easton says, Paul, please discuss non-voters last time in the Gorton and Denton election. 52.2% did not vote. Wow. And the website address, if you want to register to vote, is running across the ticker right now.
And that's, I think will it be too late for that by-election? I'm not sure, but get registered, even if you're not registered, if you can't get registered for this by-election, but just go and try and register straight away. It's really important. If you want to vote for Advance UK, register to vote now, and that makes a big difference.
Carl, thank you, Carl. Candidates. Not long left, fellas. Thank you, mate. Jack, thank you so much for that as well. Carl, again, Muslims are going to take the UK's second biggest city by voting. We need to unite more than ever. Extra, Rupert Lowe needs to join Ben Habib's Advance UK party. I don't mind him being Advance UK leader. Ben doesn't mind either, but what will it take to get them together? It's frustrating to say the least. I feel exactly the same, to be fair. And Ben, commented that himself earlier on. Nigel Al-Farage, always makes me smile, that one. Rhiannon White's mother praised Tommy today for attending the trial. No MP turned up or has reached out to her. Well, there's a surprise.
Paul, she did. I'll actually. I haven't got it downloaded yet, but I'm going to download the interview she did on Talk TV.
She mentioned him, didn't she? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Paul, it was. I was in tears. I mean, I've got a heart like a piece of granite, and I was in tears watching that. She was talking about her little grandson, and there's a reason why I can identify with what happened to her. But the little grandson goes to bed, Paul, with a teddy bear.
Don't.
And on the face of the teddy bear is a picture of his mum.
Oh.
That just ripped me to bits, And I'm going to say something here, and I don't care who's offended by it, right? The Tory party, including Robert Jenrick, and Suella Braverman have blood on their hands. Because they let these people in. I'm sick of all this. Oh, we couldn't do anything about it. The civil service was too strong. No, you let him in. You let him stay. If you're a politician, and if any politician makes those weasel excuses after the next general election, there'll be a revolution in this country. I tell you that here and now. If Reform did win, right, and they started making weasel excuses about the civil service not allowing them to do stuff, you're the guys that are in charge. Put your big boy pants on and do what you've got to do. And they've got blood on their hands. Keir Starmer's got blood on his hands. More blood. It's bad enough having Peter Lynch's.
Blood on their hands. They've all got blood on their hands. And if this makes you angry, if what we're talking about tonight makes you feel angry, makes you feel frustrated, makes you coil up in the pit of your stomach, if you feel our frustrations, you won't be voting for Reform at this next by-election. You'll be voting for Advance UK and telling the world that we want change. We don't want revert. We don't want repeat. We want a genuine change.
I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. Look at who reformers. Look at the big signings. It's like you said earlier with the football analogy, Paul. But it's worse than that, because anybody can sign a bad footballer. At the end of the day, it means a team loses, right? This is our country that's at stake. And what Farage has done, he's brought in the failed politicians that did all the damage. Robert Jenrick stood at the dispatch box, and I almost couldn't believe it. I watched him on Trigonometry today, and Jenrick stood at the dispatch box and said to my local MP, who'd complained about us, called us right-wing extremists, complained about us, he said, "Don't worry, I'm setting the security services on those people that are protesting, those right-wing fanatics that are protesting." Now I'm paraphrasing, but you can find it. It's in the video that we took of it. Jenrick set the police and the security service on, and the week after that, we'd literally the riot squad down harassing us, and we all told him to clear off because we were a peaceful protest and we know the law. One thing about protesters in Northern Ireland, they know how to protest and they know the law. Okay, so that's who Jenrick is. Nadine Zahawi, happy enough for open borders migration. Okay, Nadine Dorris, author of the online harms legislation, whatever they call it, the online safety bill. She was the author of it. Her and Hope Not Hate worked together with Hope Not Hate on that one. Conservative Party did. And then Jake Net Zero Berry. They're the big signings that Nigel's got. They're the big Tory scalps. Now, don't get me wrong. Suella Braverman, I actually like Suella Braverman. I was on an anti-Semitism march, and she's very, very nice, very pleasant, very personable. And she, so she is about as close as you can get to one of us out of that lot. But you see, the thing is, Paul, they are that lot to me. And I want good people, honest people, straight people.
And look, this is the other thing, Richard, as well. I'm pretty sure that you feel the same way as well. The Union, England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales.
Yep.
This is who we are. This is not just about England. This is about our four beautiful nations. That is not just England. It is Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Four proud nations, four proud people that have stood together for hundreds of years. And the only party that really has an interest in keeping that union together and making it stronger is Advance UK. If you believe in the union of the United Kingdom, Advance UK is the party for you, in my humble opinion.
Well, I mean, Ben said this when I interviewed Ben about Northern Ireland. Ben said this. He said, look, he says, Nigel Farage, if he wins the next election, he's going to have Britain leave the ECHR, but Northern Ireland, because of the Windsor framework, will stay in the ECHR. So not only will Northern Ireland be even further separated from the United Kingdom, and Ben said he's going to do away with the Windsor framework. Ben, if you're watching, fact check me on that just to make sure I'm right on that. But I believe that's what he said. Ben said he's going to do something about the Windsor framework. If Nigel gets in power, we're going to end up with all the migrants that can't stay in England, Scotland or Wales, getting on a boat and coming across to Northern Ireland. We'll become the dustbin for illegal migrants. Northern Ireland will become a migration camp. That's what it's going to be. And that's what people have got to realise. And the only party that's going to do anything about that is Advance UK. Because if you stay with Labour, if Labour get another election, we're back in the EU anyway. I mean, they've basically put us. In fact, actually, we'll be part of communist China by the time Keir Starmer's finished.
I was going to say, never mind the EU, we'll be part of China.
Yeah. So, and with the Tory party, you'll be part of China as well. When you look, when you think about what Call Me Dave did when he left power, when he lost the Brexit vote. Just so anyone knows, Call Me Dave went and worked for the Chinese Communist Party for 2 years or whatever it was, trying to sell the Belt and Road Initiative and failed dismally. So the truth is, when you actually look at policy, Paul, and I was sitting with my wife watching Dan Mutton earlier, and Ben was on the show, obviously, and behind him on his drinks cabinet, he's excellent taste. He had a bottle of Black Bush, and in front of the bottle of Black Bush was a little flag, and my wife looked at that. She said, "Is that an England flag?" I says, "No, that's an Ulster flag." And she was absolutely delighted as a proud Ulster woman that he had an Ulster flag. I would have liked an England flag and an Ulster flag, but you can only have so many flags on your drinks cabinet. So he had a Union Jack and an Ulster flag. Now that means a lot to the people of Northern Ireland. The fact that he has that Ulster flag there, flags. You think, see the raise the flags thing? We were doing that in the 1980s. Do you know what I mean? So flags mean a lot to people in Northern Ireland, and that was that was an amazing.
Well, they mean a lot to the Metropolitan Police today because when that young man, who I need to get on the channel, I really do need to get him on. When he walked past Downing Street, Montgomery, I need to get him on. I mean, when he walked past Downing Street early on, 4 or 5 police officers stopped him, wanted to know what he was up to. What do you mean what I'm up to? I've got St George's Cross around my shoulders. It's the country. It's the flag of our nation. Can you imagine? Richard, let me tell you something now. If a young man walked down the road here in Spain with a Spanish flag, would the Guardia Civil be pulling him up, asking him what he's doing? Would they hell us like? Anita, no. Good question. I want to know if Advance UK will deport those already allowed to stay in our country who have lied in order to get to stay here. What I would say to that, the answer to this question, Anita, is this Saturday, Advance are announcing their immigration policy. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And this is where we take a big march on Reform UK. We know what we're about. We know what we want. We know what we believe in. We believe we know what the people want. We just need your support.
Yeah, I mean...
We need you to be brave. We need you to be. Tell you what, guys, we need you, all you reform voters out there, who in your hearts, you know damn well that Farage will not deliver. You know that he's Tory Party Mark II, but you feel that this is your best escape route out of the mess we're in right now. And I get that. And if the general election was tomorrow or next month or whenever, in the very near future, do you know what? We might have to have another conversation. But let me tell you now, we need you to be as brave as Ben Habib. Yeah. Can you be as brave? Can you commit yourself?
Well, Paul, you're not even asking them to be that brave.
No, exactly.
Listen, the ballot's secret. Whoever you vote for, it's between you and your maker. Nobody's looking over your shoulder to see who you're voting for, unless it's my family. Then I look over the shoulder to make sure they're putting the X's in the right boxes. But that's another story. But you vote for who you want to vote for. Now, the other thing that we've got to contend with, Paul, and this is why it's so important to get a massive vote out from the right. There is massive voter fraud going on in this country. Massive voter fraud. And it's coming from I know of one community it's coming from, because we proved it when we were making the ROB films, because we had data on who was on the electoral roll, okay? And there was houses with sometimes 20 people on the electoral roll. Now, I know they packed them in some of those houses, but 20 people in a 2-bedroom townhouse is quite a lot. So, there's a lot of fraud going on. So we've got to make it like Trump did in 2024. It's got to be too big to rig. And I know that sounds crazy when you're talking about a party that has only been registered for two months, only been actually officially a party for 2 months. But that's how confident I am in the team. And that's how confident I am in what's happening in Advance UK. And it's like everything. There will be bumps in the road. There will be blips. There will be people sent to destabilise things. There'll be people who spit the dummies out. I spit my dummy out probably 3 times a day.
You spit your dummy out with me, and that's just when we have a private conversation. Look,
what do you see that keeps making me dress up as a baby, Paul, for flip's sake?
Look, all families have little fallouts. But I just want to appeal to everyone watching this right now, whether you're a reform voter, whoever you intend voting for, particularly in this forthcoming by-election, I want to give you my own personal promise, my own personal guarantee of what I've seen and what I know for sure. You will not find a better man, a better leader than Ben Habib. As a human being, as a politician, as a patriot, he is the creme de la creme. He is right up there with the best we will ever have. Give the man your support. Give him your vote. Give Nick your vote in this forthcoming by-election. Be strong, be firm. Hold your nerve and vote for Advance UK, and you'll see what you will see then is real change. Can you imagine if we woke up the morning after that by-election and Reform had nicked it? If Advance had nicked it. Can you imagine?
Yep.
The earthquake, the political, no more banning Ben from GB News. GB News, a news channel that many of us will watch, but it's basically run by Nigel Farage.
Yep.
Ben can't even get a slot on there. What sort of democracy is this? You want change? You want real reform? Advance UK offer that. Totally. That's my view. A couple of questions come through, Rich, extra. If Advance folded, I hope it never happens, what would happen to the membership fees? My boyfriend wants to know, as I can't give him an answer. To be honest with you, I can't give you an answer to that one either.
I think from the point of view of folding, it'll not fold financially. It's well financed. You got Ben's word on that, and Ben. Well, Ben's not in it for the money. Put it that way. He's not. Ben's not taking a penny out of it. In fact, nobody is. So I think the reality is it won't fold in that way. If the party ceased to exist for whatever reason, it would just run its course, and that would be it. It's like anything. If a business folds, once you're. If a gym closes, once your membership comes to an end, you're not going to get your money back. I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing. Yeah. But it's not going to fold. It's not that sort of situation. It's not going to happen. But I understand the question, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, sign up. tell your friends, tell your families, tell your neighbours, get to work. If you're up there in Nick's constituency, get to work, make yourself busy. Go to the Advance UK website. You can get leaflets there. You can help campaign. This is our chance. This really is. You could look at it upon it like this. This is the smaller football team going to the so-called favourites, the big cocky favourites with the number 9 who scores all the goals and he thinks he's Billy Big Balls and all this, right? Let's give them a bloody nose. Let's show them that we really want change, that we really want proper democracy, that we really want a true leader that loves his people. Ben's love for the people of this country is unmatched by anyone that I've ever met. And I tell you now, and that's for the union as well. That's not just for the people of England or more importantly, for many of these bloody politicians, for the people of Westminster or the people of London. And I'm a Londoner, sod London. What about the rest of the country? What about the North? What about Northern Ireland? What about Scotland? What about Wales? 3.5 million people in Wales. I care about those people. I care about the Scots. I care about the Northern Irish because we are one.
Absolutely, Paul. And when you said that earlier on, I was watching and I was really glad to hear you say that because, again, it's not this little Englander thing. I mean, I've always been a great believer in the United Kingdom. I'm English and I'm proud to be English. I love England.
Absolutely.
But my children are Northern Irish. My wife's Northern Irish. All my friends, that I socialise on a day-to-day basis are all from Northern Ireland. So, I have massive loyalty to both countries. And I've recently found out I'm actually Irish. I've Irish blood in me as well, so I've Irish DNA. So I'm kind of a mix from everywhere. And I think bringing all these nations together is vitally important. And eventually, what I'd love to see is Ireland leave the European Union and come into some sort of economic union with the rest of the United Kingdom. I think that'd be a great thing, especially if we've got a good president in the United States that'd be friendly for that sort of thing. So there's do you know what, Paul? There's so much to play for. There's so much positive stuff that can happen, but there's also a lot of really bad things that can happen along the way as well. And I think this is the other thing. If you were alive during the Second World War and you didn't get involved in the war effort, you would have been considered a coward, and in fact, you'd have probably gone to prison. If you just said, no, I'm not getting involved, I don't want to fight the Nazis. Well, and I'm not talking about a physical fight here, I'm talking about a political fight and an ideological fight. If you're not politically and ideologically engaged, I think you're a coward. Now, you might have a complete opposite position to us. You might be a lefty. Then I just think you're brain dead. But if you're not involved at all, you're either very selfish and cowardly or just cowardly. It's one of the two. So people need to all put the big boy and big girl pants on and get involved in this fight. So all those lovely people down in Braintree, Paul, amazing.
Wonderful. Salt of the earth. Richard, I can't tell you how much.
And that's happening all over the
country. Absolutely. And as Tommy said, this is happening organically. It is. It's happening. It's happening organically, and I want to just say one more thing about our union. Like you, I'm a proud Englishman. You won't find a prouder Englishman than myself. But I tell you now, I always go back to the trenches. In those trenches were our boys from all 4 nations. They stood together, they fought together, they bled together, and they died together. And that is how it must continue.
And the Republic of Ireland, Paul. There was many Catholics, Catholic Irishmen, who fought in the trenches, and were very, very brave as well. So we've got to remember that they were treated appallingly when they came back to Ireland. They were treated appallingly, many of them. And that's always been the case.
You know what, Richard? You're a lot more qualified to talk about. I tend to not talk about Ireland as such, the Republic, because I'm fully aware of some of the feelings in the Republic of Ireland, and I don't feel it's my business, and I don't really want to get involved with that. I hope and pray that any issues we've had with the Irish in the past has come to an end as best as it can, and we can move on, because we have a far bigger battle ahead of us, and we should all be in it together. Because I believe in the people of Ireland, I believe in the people of Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland and of course of England. We must stick together on this. But look, we're digressing slightly.
Well, I think, I think the key, I think, we've got to keep this really simple, Paul. And I know it's repetitive, and it's like, oh my goodness, he's just saying the same thing over and over again. But it's so important that people do those three things: register to vote. If you support Advance, join Advance UK, sign the pledge. You do those three things, because the pledge has all the political ideology of Advance in it. That's what the pledge is about. The party obviously is the mechanism to get people elected, and if you register to vote, you're a stakeholder. You can actually take part in the democratic process. We're not asking the people go and die in the battle in the Battle of the Somme or storm the beaches of Normandy. No. We're asking them to register to vote, join a political party, sign the pledge, and get their asses to the polling station. That's it.
Here's the gamble. I want you to consider this, everyone. When it comes to going to the booths for the by-election, there's a little thing to remember, please. If you vote Reform and they win, what will it change? What will it change? Nothing. It will not move 1 inch on the Richter scale. The political Richter scale will not move 1 inch. In fact, it will only embolden Nigel Farage to crack on, think he's got everything right, think he's got us all under control, and that, hey, that lot haven't got any choice anyway. They're going to vote for me. Or take a little gamble. Vote for Advance and watch the earthquake that happens afterwards. Carl, thank you, Carl. Just remember, we are fighting against principalities and the darkness of this world. Thank you, Carl.
Absolutely.
Tony, this is a good one. I'm from Manchester. We can be quite tribal. Nick is one of us. He's dedicated. He's a carer to improving the lives of his fellow Manx. Absolutely, Tony. I mean, Nick has an unmatched record up there in Manchester that, with all due respect, Matt Goodwin couldn't hold a candle to.
Paul, none of them can. None of them can.
No. Michael, thank you, Michael. For Advance to stand a candidate against an exceptional Reform candidate in Matt Goodwin is unforgivable. What the hell is Ben Habib thinking? Well, Michael, I hope we've been for all those reasons, and I think you completely missed the point, my friend. Thank you very much. But Richard, listen, let's answer Michael. He's been good enough to send in a chat, right? And, he's obviously how he feels. But
well, I'm not going to speak for Ben. But this is what I would be doing if I was Ben. I'd be doing exactly what Ben's doing.
Absolutely.
I'd be finding a strong local candidate with a strong support base, and I'd be standing a candidate against Reform. The truth of the matter is with Matt Goodwin and Reform, if they win the next general election and they win it fair and square, fine. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. But if something goes wrong in Reform, which is highly probable because of the diverse personalities, there's going to be infighting in Reform. Do you think Richard Tice and Zia Youssef are happy about all these Tories coming in and the seats and the positions these Tories are going to be given? There's going to be massive tension and stress in Reform. Will Nigel? I mean, Nigel's he's not a young man anymore. He's I don't know how healthy he is or he isn't, but Nigel's not going to be there forever. Do you want Zia Youssef being Prime Minister of this country when we know what Zia Youssef did to Rupert Lowe? And we know how Zia's behaved, and we know how. And it's not. I'm not saying this because he's a Muslim. I'm saying this because he seems to be a bit of an unpleasant individual, and nobody knows where he's come from. He just fell. He fell out of the sky into. I think the stork.
Well, 200 grand is where he came from.
Well, I think. I think this. I was going to say. I think the stork brought him to Nigel with a big, massive wad of money, and dropped the cash into Nigel's lap, and that was it. Zia was in. So. Reform is not what you think it is, Michael. That's all I'm going to say. Now, there's a lot of really good people in Reform. I mean, really good people.
Yeah.
And I've stacks of time for them. But there's also a lot left. There was a guy left today, Paul. I don't know if you saw it. He was an ex-SAS, X-22 SAS, X-2 para. Fought in 2 battles in the Falklands War. Proper war hero. He's left Reform and joined Advance UK today.
Fantastic. Love that. Michael, my answer to that would be is that Benny's thinking exactly down the right lines. Now, the thing is, you say about an exceptional candidate in Matt Goodwin, what a former Hope Not Hate guy who's been on Talk TV and has a good education. Nick Buckley is a Mancunian. He was born and lived in that area all of his life. He knows there's no more exceptional candidate in that by-election than Nick Buckley. with all due respect. But look, Michael, it might have been a while. I mean, we've been talking a lot since you sent that chat. You know, you may have been swayed, you may not be as swayed. But look, Michael, at the end of the day, we are on the same side.
And can I say,
Almost.
can I come back on that, Michael?
Yeah.
Look, we're not against you, mate. We're
No.
not. I mean, I know some people sometimes say Rich is arrogant and bombastic and all the rest of it. I don't mean to be, because I know if you're putting a super chat in like that, you're putting that in because you want to be,
Yeah.
you want us to win. You
Yeah.
you want us to be, all of us to be on the right side of history, and I 100% get that, and so we're not having to go at you personally.
No.
I think it's a very good strategic move what Ben's doing, and we've all explained why now. But I understand you being passionate about it, because if I was a reform guy, I probably would be too. The fact is, I'm not. But you know, we're not digging you out. We just know what Nigel is, and that's all there is to it. You know.
The lovely Sharon, thank you, Sharon. I'm so scared something massive is going to happen to another concert or something before they all wake up. Please God, that doesn't happen. That would just be unbelievable. Can I say something as well about a criticism that I heard earlier on, that Tommy wasn't told that we was going to announce Nick as a candidate. Well, Tommy's a member of Advance, as Ben said earlier on. Tommy's a member. I had a brief discussion with Ben a couple of days ago about what was going to happen up there. I think the people, that needed to know knew. And, the same people that criticise Ben and the party for not telling Tommy will be the same people that will criticise Ben and the party for having Tommy anywhere near him in the first place. So you can't bloody win.
You can't win.
With these
And look, I mean, but here's the thing, Paul. Do you know who I haven't heard complaining about that?
Go on.
Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy hasn't complained about
exactly,
that. He don't give two hoots. You know, he's look. Yeah, Tommy knows the way the game's played. He understands politics. You know, so he's and look, he endorsed Matt, which I thought was a very gracious thing of him to do. You know, and as soon as Advance put a candidate up, he went, yeah, let's get behind Advance.
And this is a man that's been on record on slagging Tommy off left, right, and centre in the past.
Very recently as well, Paul. Very recently. You know, I saw him on GB News about a year ago, and he was not a friend of Tommy, that's for sure. He's another one who's had a Damascene conversion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Debbie, good evening, gents. This is for Richard. That's over on your channel, Richard. Thanks you very much.
Thanks, Debbie. Really appreciate it. That's very, very kind. Thank you.
That'll pay for a packet of razor blades for Richard.
What are you trying to say? I'm not feeling.
Nigel Al Farage is back again. Thank you, mate. I always have to smile. It beggars belief that in 2029 we may end up with a Green Labour Party coalition who have stated they do not differentiate between asylum sex offenders and British offenders.
I'm going to say something about that, Paul. Right, and Nigel, I agree. I agree that Nigel Farage. I love it as well. But I agree with you. And if that does happen, I think it's squarely at the feet of Nigel for splitting, because Nigel's the one that's caused all this. But I honestly think Richard, if that happens,
excuse me, Richard, that is such a good point. People say about us and Ben and Advance splitting the vote. Remember, everyone, Nigel Farage, before the last general election, he had it all and spat it back in our face. So please don't talk to us about splitting the vote.
They're responsible for this.
We were the ones that were desperately. I was even battling with Richard because he said, Paul, they're going to lie to you. We're even battling amongst ourselves. Come on, lads, let's get behind. No, we don't particularly like him. We know what he did with UKIP, but come on, let's unite. Let's get behind reform. They're making all sorts of promises. What did they do? They lied.
I think if, let's say, that horrendous proposition that Nigel Farage, I can't say that with a straight face, just brilliant name. I think that horrendous proposition of a Green Labour coalition, right? If that happens, I think there'll be a civil war in the country, because it will have happened by vote rigging. It will not happen by a straight vote. It will happen because the preferred demographic that hates our country, that's more interested in a little kind of sliver of land on the Mediterranean that is in the constituencies they live and work in, there'll be massive vote rigging from that constituency. That's why we need to make it too big to rig. And to be honest with you, I'm going to say something, and people are not going to like me for saying this. I want Reform to collapse before the next general election, and I want Advance to be in that position. And I want all the good people that are in Reform, because there are good people, to come across to Advance. I want all the good people from Restore to come across to Advance, so that we do have one party that's capable of winning. That's what I want. That's the game I would love to see happen. Now, again, I'm nobody. I'm just a member of the party. But that's what I would love to see. Because I fear for our country. If we get another left-wing government, there will be a civil war in this country. Without a shadow of a doubt. There's no doubt.
Nigel Farage again. I guess Paul and Richard are aware by Ben is back on Talk TV. A certain producer with a lot of clout has left Talk. Yeah. Michael again.
I wasn't aware of that, but obviously,
yeah.
You know.
Michael again, he says, I'm no fan of Farage. I left Reform when they stood a candidate against Andrew Bridgen. This is classic splitting the vote.
No, look, I mean, again, we've got to comment. I understand what you're saying, Michael, but the thing is, it's actually not, it's just not that important in terms of the overall strategic plan that we've got. And that's what we're trying to get across. There is strategy behind this. This isn't Ben just waking up and going, oh, we must under it. This is a strategic plan. There is a bigger picture here, you know.
There is a much bigger picture. Carl Brockwell, you two accosted me with supers. Where are the candidates? Well, they've not all been named, have they?
Is he talking about for Advance or for just? You're going to have to do another super there, Carl, because we need you to confirm exactly what you're saying there, mate. Let us know. Are you talking about the candidates for this by-election, or talking about or are you talking about where are the Advance candidates? Okay, so let me know if that's what you want.
Sharon said Advance UK.
Well, I want a commission off you, mate.
Chance. Yeah, well, Richard Arthur are going through to your channel anyway.
Oh, that's even better.
Thank you, Sharon. The last one for the moment, at least. Carl is back again. Have you noticed that Nick Tanconi took his self-portrait down? He's obviously listening. Look, I like Nick. I'm not going to have a go at Nick. I like him. Sorry, I do.
Well, there is. Look, he's getting very Christian now, and there is something about idolatry in the Bible, you know.
Reform has not had the chance to prove themselves yet so far watching the council. I like Reform. Colin, the thing is, this is what we've been saying, Colin. I know I'm catching up with some of the chats now, so you know, to be fair to you, this may have been way before we've said a lot of the things that we said, but they had their chance, mate, and they lied to us. They lied to over 1 million people. They almost defrauded us. They dragged me all the way down. Not that I don't give a shit. It's not about me, but they dragged me all the way down to Plymouth to meet top people from the head of the party to make promises.
Yep.
And then shit on us. Sorry, mate. Now, I don't care. I don't care about going all the way down to Plymouth. It doesn't matter to me. But I tell you what I don't appreciate is going all the way down to Plymouth to be lied to come back to tell my friends and people that I trust and respect, people like Richard, and then getting on the phone to Tommy and discussing it with Tommy and saying, Tommy, come on, let's get behind Reform. And then it all backfires. It makes you look a pillock. It makes everyone look a pillock, and it's a lie. So they've already had their chance, Colin. They had it early doors and they blew it at the first opportunity that they had. How can we trust these people?
Yep.
Surely everyone, and again, Colin, I'm not having a moan, mate. I'm just, thank you for the brilliant message. This is the bottom line. This is what reformers have to get into their heads. They cannot be trusted. And the people they're recruiting have already proven again that they can't be trusted. The Robert Jenricks of this world. Again, all these people that have suddenly seen the light, that have suddenly changed their minds, that 18 months ago wouldn't have touched Nigel Farage with a barge pole when they're standing on the podium next to him, that 18 months, 2 years ago would have never, ever, 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 ever even mentioned the word Tommy Robinson, but all of a sudden might now say, well, we had a bit of a point. Why are they saying these things? Because they want your vote.
Exactly.
We want your hearts. That's what we want. We want your hearts. They want your votes.
There's one here, Paul. It's the last one that's come in. Oh no, sorry, it's Das Prussians, right? So he said, so who in advance is qualified to say visit Putin to help broker a peace deal with Ukraine? I could be wrong in this, but I'm near sure there's a retired general somewhere involved in advance.
There is,
isn't there, on
yeah,
the college?
yeah,
I'm near sure
yeah.
there is. So just to answer that one again, we're not saying he's the guy, but there's other people like Professor Norman Fenton. There's plenty of other academics on the college. So I think what people aren't seeing, Paul, because they're just seeing, they probably just think advance is just me, you, and Ben, right? Because we're the only ones that talk about it publicly on YouTube. So there's a lot of very, very high profile people, very, very successful businessmen, academics, people from all different walks of life that are involved in the college. So it's I'm not on the college. It's not just Paul. But I reckon Paul would give Putin a good go anyway. I reckon you could get a deal out of Putin, Paul. I've seen you negotiate, mate. I don't think it'd be a problem.
Nah, sort him out. Don't worry about that. Bring him on. No, at the end of the day, we've got some amazing people at the back end of Advance UK. And let me tell you something. Let me just pay a little moment of respect to the main guy behind the immigration policy that's going to be unveiled later at the end of the week. Thousands of man hours has gone into this. Thousands of man hours, meetings, forums, back and forths, debates, conversations. This is a splendid policy document that I think you're going to, well, it will be judged on its own merit. David Rhodes, amazing individual.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Nigel Farage, Zach Polanski, MSN won't refer to his real name, David Polanski.
David, it's David, isn't it?
The Tit Whisperer, come on.
Dave.
Call me Dave, the Tit Whisperer.
Call me Dave.
Advocates legislation of heroin and cocaine. Zara Sultana is an extremist, exactly.
Well, anyone that's named after a dried fruit, you can't take them seriously anyway, can you?
No,
Let's get it right, you know what I mean?
I mean, look,
It's Sultana's not standing though, is she? She's in Parliament already, isn't she?
yeah, she's already there, isn't she?
Yeah.
Tommy calls for British values. Guess which one is banned by the mainstream?
It's a bit MSN.
Exactly.
Totally.
Exactly.
I agree.
Al
Farage.
Here's another thing to all you reform guys out there, you guys and girls, right? Most of you will support Tommy. If you want to see Tommy back on mainstream TV, vote for Advance.
Mate, I want to see him in Parliament. Because
I don't think that's what Tommy wants, though, is it? He loves his journalism.
Come on, wait, I tell you something. I know Tommy. If Tommy thought that he could walk into that Parliament and sit on a green bench, he would snap your arm off. 1,000,000%. Don't kid yourself, Paul. Now, at the minute, obviously, he's going to do the journalism thing. But believe you me, you imagine Tommy being put in charge of prisons, immigration, and he's got to be Home Secretary.
Yeah. I like this one. Extra. Sharon Osbourne is getting into politics, looking at Birmingham. Get her in Advance UK. I'd love to have had Aussie in there. Can you imagine it?
Oh, can you imagine Aussie?
I don't give a fuck. Just get him out. That's what it would have been, wouldn't it? Sharon, them bloody dogs to shit on the floor again.
Talking about dogs, I saw that video earlier on, Paul. That poor dog of yours, making him eat your flipping crumbs, what was left over from it. Do you know what? I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch. Because Paul was getting jealous because Danny did some really fancy cooking. He did a flipping steak with some nice crispy vegetables. They were crispy because he didn't cook them right. So Danny did this amazing meal. And
talking about Danny Craddock now, yeah?
Danny Craddock. And he said he'd never made anything more than a pot noodle. And I'll be honest with you, having seen his performance in the kitchen, I think he's telling the truth, right? So Paul thought he'd try and go one better. And it shows that Paul's not done a lot of cooking in his life either. So Paul gets a pan out of the cupboard that looked like, well, I'm just going to say, Paul, What was that about, mate? I mean, like, you're meant to wash. I know good chefs just wipe the frying pans.
Well,
round
I'd
to leave
washed it, Richard. I'd just forgotten to wipe it. You know, it's probably a bit of detergent still in there. That was what
Okay,
it was.
but you didn't wash it again, mate, before you put your bacon in it. You know?
I'm a geezer, mate. I don't do
Yeah,
things
well,
like that.
that poor dog of yours was flipping blowing bubbles all afternoon after it licked the plate. Do you know
Funny
what I mean?
enough, if you see what he's dropped out here in the garden this afternoon, you might
Well, there
be
you
right.
go. There you go. There you go. You know. So one slice of bacon, some burnt toast, and the poor dog gets the rest of it. And I tell you what, I think there's more to that story of Christmas Day when the dog ate the dinner. That's all I'm saying.
Mate, you wouldn't want to live in it. Let me tell you something, Richard, right? I've been married for 30, is it 35 or 30, I don't know, 35 years now, right? And let me tell you something. When my wife is away, the phone will ring and the first thing she'll say is, how's my baby? Right?
Talking about you, obviously.
No, she's talking about the dog. How's my baby? And that's the Rottweiler she's talking about.
That's the Rottweiler.
Yeah, that's the Rottweiler. He's got a split personality. He goes all silly and his tail when he goes and puts his ears back and all that. When he's running around out in the garden, he's got Tourette's. He's the only dog I've ever known with Tourette's. He swears at anything that moves. He tries to catch, this is how stupid he is, he tries to catch planes. And if a helicopter goes over, mate, it's all off, I tell you.
There's nothing wrong with trying to catch planes, Paul.
Oh, mate. Claire Bear, thank you so much, darling. I wish you well for tomorrow. You know what I'm talking about. To people who are asking, all Advanced College members are on the Advanced website. Thank you so much.
And again, let's just thank Claire once again for everything she's done on my channel, everything she's done on YouTube for the pledge. On Facebook for the pledge. Everything she's doing for you, Paul, because she is an absolute legend.
Lovely woman,
massive
legend.
shout
Yeah.
Danny Crash.
She is. Listen, people like Claire, people like Ian, etc. They're all part of the team. And like I've always said before, mate, we all do our own little bits.
Yeah,
we do what we can do. Right, and this is a great one. Look, please, guys, can you ask Ben to get someone to run for Bath and get the Lib Dems out? Now, this is the deal, right? If we all chip in and we all make an effort and we all get on the websites and on Facebook and on social media and campaign for Nick Buckley in Gorton and Denton, and Advance can win that seat, the sky's the limit. The sky is the limit. It really is. But it's down to you guys.
Yep. But we can't vote in it. I mean, it's a by-election. We can't vote. We've got no say in what happens. It's down to the Manx. The Manx have got to pull it out of the bag there.
All we
I think it's got to be a massive protest.
What we're doing. Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be. Yeah.
You know, it's.
We can only do what we can do, and we will continue to do it because we believe in Ben and we believe that we are doing the right thing. And we ask you to put a little bit of trust into us, but more importantly, a lot of trust into Ben.
Yeah.
Right, Richard, I think, is there anything else to add before we wrap it up this evening? Any funny jokes, any funny instances? Have you got anything?
Well, listen, I mean, I've been listening to what you've been saying about. By the way, I don't eat Vindaloo curry, Paul. So I know all those comments about me eating Vindaloos and all the rest of it. And you can bear witness to that because when we went for a curry in Brighton, which sounds dodgy in itself, doesn't it? Going for a curry in Brighton, we did not eat Vindaloo.
There was three of us. There was
three of us. Well, there was three of us. Yeah. And that was Anyway, we'll not go into that night, but yeah. So no, any funny jokes? No, not really, mate. I suppose just Matt Goodwin and his gloves. He just needs to get those fingerless gloves out. You know, it's.
I'll tell you what I've been watching recently. I can't get him off me phone. He's Jeffro. Oh my God, he just cracks me up. What a comedian he was, Jeffro. They don't make him like him anymore.
Who's I've never heard of him.
Have you never seen Jeffro?
No.
Oh, you got to be kidding, Richard.
No, mate,
come on.
no. No, do you know who I'm watching a lot of Lee Mack stuff. I think Lee Mack's brilliant. Lee Mack's absolutely hilarious.
See, now I don't know him. We've obviously got a different sense of humour, but we can't have. We often
no, we're the same sense. We just need to we need to share these things, Paul.
Yeah, sharing is caring, as they say.
Sharing is caring, you know. But no, I was going to get some old man jokes, but I thought we'll leave that for another night. You know, it's too this is too serious. I mean, look, it is what it is. it's too serious a night to talk about anything else other than getting Nico.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of
Yeah.
light-heartedness here and there.
Yeah.
Let's just have a little look, see if that voting has changed at all.
Oh, by the way, actually, before you go, Paul, I'm going to be there on Saturday. I'm going to the.
Okay,
I'm going,
yeah, brilliant.
I'm going to have my little camera and my little DJI mics, so I'll be press ganging people into interviews. You know, so I'll probably get the tea lady and the security to do interviews.
Excellent. Let's have a little look. So the final Reform pulled in a little bit. Who will you be voting for? Advance UK 66%, Reform 30%, other 4%. That was with nearly 1,500 votes for what that's worth, but it shows the depth of feeling amongst our viewers at least.
Yeah.
So
great.
you know that's really good. I hope we're doing the right thing for you guys. I love the cooking justice. Yeah, I might do a little bit more of that, Richard. I fancy myself as a bit of a chef. I might.
Yeah, do you know I might do that myself as well. I'll maybe get the old frying pan out, see what I can knock up, get a little video done. Oh,
By the way, Paul, I hope
Paul.
you like. Sorry, mate, just one sec. By the way, Paul, hope you liked your little video from Claire. I did, Sharon. I did. Lovely. I really like that. Thank you so much. Paul, recruit Sharon Osborne to Advance UK. That's from Debbie. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was you going to say, Richard?
You can't interrupt me, Paul, because I've forgotten now.
Well, that's same
No,
as
do you
me.
know what? I baked scones at the weekend, Paul, and they were absolutely superb, mate. Absolutely epic. So, I might actually we might do a celebrity bake-off, with Danny Craddock.
Don't eat Richard scones. I'll tell you why. Because he lives out in the wilds a little bit and he can't get any currants. But he has got rabbits, right? So just be careful if you find any.
I'm not going to kill a rabbit just to make a scone.
I'm talking about
I'm not going to put rabbit meat in a scone. For goodness sake, Paul. What do you think I am?
Richard, I'm talking about the droppings.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about, Paul.
exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about, you dirty dog.
I'm going to go full on next time. I'm going to do beans on toast.
Oh, don't try too hard, Paul.
Mate, that's massive. Right, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for joining us. That's 2 live streams today. You'll be sick to bloody death.
I've done 2 as well. I've done 2. If I've got a bird one, I'm doing one at 10.
What, 10 o'clock tonight?
Yep.
It's 10:30 here for me. I'm going to bed.
Oh, yeah. Part-timer, mate. Part-timer.
Oh, right. Love to everyone. Take it easy. We will see you soon. See you later,
soon.
Richard.
See you guys.